how's it going? Just testing out my microphone really fast. Today is Friday. It's not August 15th. I guess I should update that date once in a while. So today on the stream, I thought it would be cool to. A website I use a lot to kind of see what people are thinking in terms of game design and the industry and stuff. I use gamasutra.com. I check that out a lot. And so I thought today that we could kind of just see, like maybe every day I could see what's going on in the gaming industry, but mostly I like to read the blog posts. So this is gamasutra.com. It starts with a G. And then there's like expert blogs, people who blog frequently, and then there's member blogs, which sometimes are just as good. And maybe I thought it would be a good idea to like kind of reflect on what I think about, like maybe sum up these articles a little bit, like browse through them quickly, and then sum up what I think about it, kind of, and see what your opinions are. Like it's kind of annoying to read these articles, like I don't know, it takes some like motivation on your part. So I thought maybe it'd be easy if we just kind of you can kind of just listen to me go through it for you. Yeah, and then after that, for those of you who don't know, my name is Dylan, and I'm the developer of a new game called Emoji Pop. And you can play this game right next to me at playemojipop.com. You can play it from any mobile phone or computer, as long as you are connected to the internet. And the coolest thing, it's a mobile puzzle game. It's a bubble shooter technically. But I think the coolest thing about the game is that it comes with its very own level editor. So if I hit this pencil button at the bottom, it opens up the level creator. And using the emojis I've unlocked in the game, I can create my very own levels. So I'm doing these daily level design streams, and I'm uploading YouTube tutorials. And my goal is to teach aspiring game designers practical game design skills that they can use to someday to even get a job. So my first job in the game design industry was as a level designer on a bubble shooter. So I think I can give players the skills they need in order to succeed in that kind of position if that's something they want to pursue. Another reason this is a great tool for aspiring game designers is that usually to get your hands dirty in the world of game design, you need to be a programmer or be using some program and learning some sophisticated logic system, etc. But to me, even though coding and engineering is an integral part of game development, I think that you should be able to learn game design without necessarily having to program. So my game is awesome because players, anyone as young as the age of 3, can quickly start making levels easily and start learning at the very least concepts like playtesting your level, and they'll learn about like in creating levels that they'll be thinking about the experience of game design, of playing games. And the older they get, like the more into it they can get. So I teach classes at a local university, and they do like programs for children and stuff, and they really love to make games. One of the coolest things about it being a bubble shooter is that every level, depending on the emojis you use, kind of becomes its own game entirely. So kids love like coming up with new possibilities and making their own things that I didn't even know were possible. I think that's for that reason it's a great introduction to the world of game design, because you're literally making games. Hold on, I thought my stream dropped, but I think I'm good. So first, let's look at the chat real fast. Make sure no one's chatting with me. I have YouTube and Twitch open here, but I'm also going to be checking the Facebook chat if anyone's there. Let's look at these Gamasutra articles. So when I first started getting into game design, my biggest resource was gamasutra.com and these blog posts. So, one second. So there's a lot of news about the whole Epic versus Apple. I've kind of said my piece on that in the past. I think Apple has an illegal monopoly and it hurts developers, even small developers like me. If the App Store's rates weren't so high and they didn't Also include things you do outside of the app, which I need because I have a website, PlayEmojipop.com. Then I would probably be on their service. I would love Epic's Game Store to be on there in order to get kind of a more fair shake on their platform. So let's look at the member blogs first. Let's see if we can find like a juicy one. So I usually look for the featured posts. Those usually tend to be selected because they're better. How to measure fun for game designers. Let's see what this person had to say about this. Is this game fun? I don't know. I don't care. I mean, I kind of care. Otherwise, I would not write about it. Blah, blah, blah. Scientific method for dummies. Measurement. Okay, I've not seen anything that particularly interests me or like creates an interesting debate or anything. So I'm going to skip that. Game publishing. Hidden costs. Player segments based on gaming motivations. While the underlying math can get complicated and there are many algorithms for player segmentation, in its simplest terms, segment analysis identifies the distinct subgroups within an audience. Okay, so identifying like your kind of core segments or demographics or whatever. The game motivation profile is a 5-minute survey that allows gamers to get a personalized report of their gaming motivations. Let's just do that. Let's see what this is. Can I? I have to create an account. Not interested in that. Let me move the mic closer. Feel free to ask me anything, or if there's any gaming news you want to discuss. Looks like there's not a lot of articles, so we might just kind of switch to my game really soon. I do want to like have some kind of introduction, kind of. I'm new to streaming, so I'm trying to figure out, kind of experiment with new ways to begin the podcast, to begin the stream, or interesting discussion topics. Player segments, acrobat. So it's kind of like, okay, there's different kinds of players basically, and this is a way to discover them. That seems like a good article, but not something I'm interested in talking about. Let's look at some of the older member blogs. I'm going to be having a member blog that I think goes up on Monday, so we'll definitely talk about that next week. It's kind of regarding like the video I put out yesterday on YouTube about Candy Crush and how indie developers could possibly challenge their dominance. The games that you play and the games that play you. A deep analysis of the creative dynamics between games and players with implications for game design approaches, emergent narrative, and more. Let's take a quick look at this. So yeah, if you're like, I'm guessing some of the people watching my stream are more experienced developers, but if you're brand new to exploring game development and game design, I would highly recommend Gamasutra, just because you get exposed to so many different ideas, and with the member blogs you can kind of put forth your own ideas even if you don't have any experience in the industry or anything. Since game design is kind of like just like language, it's something that everyone kind of delves in, so it makes sense that playing a game you might come up with like your own perspective, or you could share your perspective of games that could inform industry game designers even. Why do we enjoy games? I love when articles get really, really vague about this. And before you say something, this is a simple question. It's the answer that's complicated. So this is a pretty good... I like how they made all the art in the article. That I could see that being really motivating to kind of continue reading. That's kind of like a problem sometimes I have, is like I tend to write more formal essays almost sometimes, and it's not as fun to read, kind of. Creative control, games creative control. So that's kind of interesting. What is really controlling the experience? You or the game? Maybe I'll just read these pictures. Gameplay's creative process. The player projects its creativity into the game through gameplay. The game projects its creativity into the player through gameplay as well. Through gameplay, the game projects its creativity into the player and the player into the game. you play the game means the player's creativity dominates the game. The game plays you means the game's creativity dominates gameplay. I'm wondering what that means, the game's creativity. But I kind of think I see where this person's going with this. So he's saying there's kind of two distinct kinds of games, and maybe there's a spectrum between them. There's one side where the player has the creative control. The priority is to give players options. Choice and experimentation are intrinsically valuable. Constraints to the player are meant to guide and spark her creativity. The player plays the game. The game system is at his will. And so in games where the game has creative control, the priority is to drive home an idea. So that's interesting. There do seem to be games where, even if you do have, like, I'm thinking of those walking kind of simulators and things like that, where you have all this freedom, like you can go anywhere you want or whatever, but it doesn't really seem like you have much freedom because everything's so linear and preset in stone. So I kind of like this. Like, I like reading these articles because they give you different lenses through which to view game design, and so this seems like a interesting lens that could inspire ideas or inform decisions when you're designing games, or mostly like shine light on new possibility spaces, kind of. Constraints to the player are essential to keep the idea from diluting. The game plays the player's mind is at its will. I can totally see that. That's an interesting idea. I've never actually thought of this concept of the game controlling the player. That is really interesting to me. You see, that's so awesome how all of a sudden I have this whole new kind of concept that I can like examine game design and video games through. I think that's really interesting. So let's look at games in each category. Players' creative control, basketball, so sports. And I kind of wonder if there's like a gray zone where maybe there's games where it feels like the player is totally in control. Like, there could be a gameplay system theoretically which, from the player's perspective, they have total creative control, or that's what it seems like. But that could be all an illusion and relates to gameplay. So I'm kind of wondering about like the gray area that exists kind of between the two. Players' creative control, Minecraft. Open world games like Zelda Breath of the Wild, Chess, Magic, Super Mario Odyssey. So Super Mario Odyssey, it's less in the extreme of players' creative control, it seems, and in games like Call of Duty, because they're more linear in ways, and the ways in which you solve problems were predetermined more by the game. So I wonder if it'd be more in the middle, but I guess this person thinks that they're more in the middle of it's kind of towards the side of the players in control. Let me just make sure no one's chatting. Oh wow, I'm not even on the article. Whoops. Yeah, so look at the article, like they put in all these little cartoon graphics to keep you reading. So that was probably pretty boring if you didn't know what I was talking about, maybe. Players' creative control, games that you play. And then there's something in the middle, games for execution. So Candy Crush Sega, which I talk a lot about in this stream, is a game for execution. Why? I want to know why that is fundamentally different than Super Mario Odyssey. So let's kind of read into that and see if we can figure that out. In this quadrant of gameplay involves little to no creativity, both from the side of the player and from the game. Okay, I think I understand. Here, gameplay doesn't give players creative freedom, nor it enables creativity coming from the game. There are purposeless sets of instructions waiting to be executed. I don't mean this in a bad way. Roulette, solitaire. So I don't know. Guitar Hero. So I get okay, Guitar Hero execution, but there's still a degree of, oh, when do you use your power up, even though that's not that important. But like roulette, I understand because that is totally based on chance, 100%. Um, Candyland, there's no interesting choices for you to make. That makes sense. But Yahtzee, I get that it's higher up, which makes sense to me. But and Tetris, interesting. So players do have a decent amount of creative. Super Mario. The only thing is like games like Super Mario Odyssey, like that seems like a pretty linear experience and a set in stone experience. And Tetris, I think the gameplay of Tetris is more emergent, so I guess the emergence of gameplay doesn't really matter. This is a new idea to me, so I'm kind of just reflecting on it all still. We didn't look at the games that are where in which the games are in creative control. Walking Dead, yeah, they're kind of making you have an experience in a way that they want you to have in a way. But I don't know. There's a lot of gray area in some of these. I think there's you could really have an interesting argument as to whether some games have their legs in kind of more than one, depending on like the shelf gameplay or whatever. But I really like this kind of structure for viewing games, rad games. Is this like just a joke, or is there actually rad games? Hyper casual games and heavy chance based games such as roulette fall into this. Also games that are not really games but gamified. There's the upper right quadrant. It's the rarest, I'll give you that. Right now I can only think of a few examples that belong there. I've only just begun to think about what a game needs to fall into this quadrant. I also cannot think of a good name for it. Rad games. For now, I'll only say there are so few games because it's very difficult for both player and game to have significant creative control over the gameplay interaction. Okay, so this is what I was kind of talking about before. Games that want to convey a creative idea through gameplay usually do it at the expense of restricting players' freedom, and thus his creative input. The only way you can eat the cake and have it too is if the gameplay system is aligned with the concept it wants to convey. So, okay, I see. So I'll stop here and I'll continue with the last quadrant in another article. Also thinking things through. In the meantime, I'll just leave the graph here waiting. So yeah, so it's like games where if for both the game and player to have what he says is creative control, the game needs to be trying to convey something to the player, but without sacrificing the player's freedom. And so I think they're saying the games and the player's goals, creative goals, both need to be aligned. But to me, I don't think that's even necessarily true. But I'm like earlier in this stream, I mentioned like, what about games where? Let me check the chat. What about games where, like the player thinks they have creative control and they're like doing these things, but really that's an illusion. The game is setting you up for something. Like I remember there's this text adventure named Photopia by Adam Cadre, and this is gonna be a spoiler, so mute for the next 20 seconds if you don't want to hear it. But at one point, in the story, you know there's gonna be a car crash, and in one scene you're driving this girl, and suddenly I realized suddenly while playing the game, oh, this is gonna be the car crash. So I felt like I had creative control, and so I pulled over to the side of the road, and that is what actually led to the car crash. So I had at least a moment where I thought I had creative control, and then that creative control turned out to be an illusion. And so what if you can kind of keep up that illusion for more than just one beat? What if that's like a ongoing experience? I'm also thinking, what if there's like a game where certain aspects of the game are players have creative control, and other certain aspects the game has control, and so there can be kind of a tension between both, the control of both. Maybe that even could be some kind of mechanic in the game, and like they could kind of exist with tension with one another. So I think all that's pretty interesting. All this stuff is interesting to think about. I would comment if I was logged in, but I'm not. This article is written by Kairos Jalif. I wonder if this person posts regularly. Recent grad from Northeastern University with a master's in game design. Based in Europe. Cool. So follow him and check out this article on Gamasutra. I'm gonna comment. I thought this was a great article. I had never thought about games through this lens before. Was thinking about games in which, or I'm gonna say, excited for article next week. You got me thinking about theoretical games in which both player and game has creative control. Maybe reply. Cool. So I think that's enough looking at Gamasutra for now. Let me make sure no one has anything to say in that article. No, we're good. I'm checking the chat on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. Let me know if you have any advice for my streaming or feedback. I'm pretty new to this, and I haven't even watched a ton of streaming in the past. Although I'm watching more and more now. Yeah, so let's go to the editor. We can always go back to Gamasutra after. Alright, so this is my game Emoji Pop. And this is the level editor. So each world you unlock a new emoji. And so I've placed myself like at world 20 in the game. So I've unlocked the first 20 emojis in the game. And each one does something totally different. The bomb blows up. The arrow shoots an arrow but rotates. The dagger is constantly spinning, so if you time your shot right. So each one has a totally different mechanic that totally changes the way the game plays. And you can use these emojis together with one another, and the combinations also completely change the gameplay possibilities. And so with every emoji I add, I'm adding like a ton of new possibility spaces because, for example, the ghost is an obstacle that fades in and out. So one turn it's solid, and then the next turn you can shoot through it. So if I release the ghost emoji, that mechanic is a new mechanic. It opens the design space. But you can also use it with the other 19 emojis in different ways. So it creates each one creates an exponentially larger possibility space. I love listening to people's ideas for emoji obstacles. Play the game to find out which ones are in there already. Sometimes I also look at let me do that now actually. I'm gonna open Tweemoji. So I get a lot of feedback about the art in my game not looking too good. And so part of that is because I'm an indie developer, not with art background and not paying an artist at this point. And I figured I can always fix the art later. I'm not, hardcore marketing the game yet, or I'm not on the app stores yet. But all of the art is made out of real world emojis. So I'm opening the list of Twitter emojis. Twitter has this thing called Tweemoji. That's their emoji set. And what's cool about it is they've totally open sourced all of their emojis. So you're free to use them as long as you attribute them. So in the game, there's a part that says I'm using all of their emojis, and you can totally use them and make money off of them and everything like that. So sometimes I like to just scroll through the list of emojis, and it inspires new features in the game or the new obstacles. So sometimes I come up with mechanical ideas, and that's where the new obstacle comes from. Like, oh, maybe something that jumps around or flies. That's like a different mechanic. But often I am just scrolling through the emojis and I see something like, oh, a robot. Like, oh, I bet a robot could make this thing I never even thought of. And so sometimes the game is kind of inspired by these emojis, which is kind of cool, I think. And each year they release new emojis so that each year I kind of have more possibilities in terms of what I want to design and stuff. I think they release the new emojis every emoji day, which is like June 17th, I believe, July 17th. I mean, like, oh, newspaper, that could like that's something that's like thrown, maybe some kind of movement mechanic based on that, or oh, like a projector, maybe when it's on, it changes like what the other bubbles look like. It changes them while it's on, and then when it turns off, it goes back to normal, like it's playing a movie or something. I'm using the TV as something. When you hit it, they all change to a certain like colored channel, and which has like an effect in the game. I loved this phone emoji inspired a crazy idea where there's phones in the game, and if you hit one, it opens up a phone which has the game within it. So you're playing a level, and then you hit a phone, and that's like got a mini level. So you're looking at a phone playing a mobile game within a mobile game. And then within that little mobile phone game, you can hit another phone, and within that, you can get another phone emoji. So I like it. These emojis really inspire some really crazy concepts sometimes. It kind of like breaks me out of like my normal standard status quo like view of everything. It kind of inspires totally new ideas sometimes. Like the boomerang, that's a very action-oriented object. That's something that I could totally see doing something with that. Like you hit it and it clears stuff and comes back to itself. I don't really know. All these like saws, swords, daggers, I would like to use like all of those eventually. DNA, I've thought of like maybe you hit DNA and it changes the color or changes something. That's a gravestone. I'm not sure I could use that. I used soap. Oh, this bucket. I don't think I've seen a bucket before. I wonder if that's new. And oh, this trap, a mouse trap. That's interesting. And maybe like some of these, if they're really like unique, they could even inspire a new like gameplay mode, like based around these mouse traps, and you're getting mice trapped or something like that. Elevator sign, elevator. Yeah, some of these are new. This is interesting. Plunger. A hook. One thing I want to do is like implement some kind of physics mode where everything's like hooked together and swings and stuff. But that's something that's still in development. Crayons. So this is a really obvious thing, like something that changes colors. Like you hit it and it shoots red to over a bunch of emojis and changes them to the color red or something like that. Cool. I think at the bottom there might be like really new ones, but I could be wrong. Takes a while to load. No. Alright, let's go back to my game. Alright, so I'm trying to think what I want to do. Do I want to like just make a level? Do I want to show you some features in the game? Or do I want to like go into the core concepts, like the fundamentals of bubble shooter level design? I'm checking the chat occasionally. I can always switch it up if anyone has any ideas. 1 second. Alright, let's make some levels. So I'm gonna kind of walk you through like first time. Actually, I need to make some snail levels. That's what we're gonna do. So let's look at the snail emoji. So on Monday, I'm going to be releasing the snail world, which is the latest world, and that comes with a bunch of levels and stuff. And so that's World 8. That's what I'm releasing on Monday. And I'm releasing 1 or 2 a week, kind of depending on the demand. I think right now it's just 1 a week because the demand's not too high and I can kind of focus on other things. Let's see, snail. So you hit the snail, it opens up the side panel, and you can pick what color snail you want. You can also decide whether you want the snail to be going in the left direction or right direction. I'm gonna get some music playing because I like to listen to music while I'm designing to maintain sanity. Oops, that's not going to my headphones. We should talk about the top. So when making these snail levels, when making any level actually, there's 2 kinds of tops. There's a top where you'll have like some kind of clearing mechanic. So in this level, you get to the top, you hit, these are soap emojis. So they form a giant soap bubble, and if you hit it, you pop it. So this level, you're just trying to get to the top, and once you reach the top, finally, you find some narrow channel that you dug, and you hit the top, and then you clear everything, and you win the level. That's one kind of level. That's one kind of like gameplay experience. I'm gonna erase those. Alright, so now this is another kind of top. We have matches. So imagine the differences between those 2 kinds of tops. First one, you dig your way to the top, you hit the top, drops, you win. This one, you dig to the top, you hit like the blue match, and you gotta now dig up the other side somehow to get the red and yellow. So this is more of like a long-term strategic puzzle where every move matters, and it's not as clear the best optimal path to win. It's like, so there's a lot of aspects that make it different than the soap drop. Depending on your gameplay experience of your level, like it's gonna determine what's the best top. And you could probably make 2 different kinds of levels, one with a quick drop and one with a more puzzly top. Totally depends on just the level you're making and your audience. If you're kind of trying to target lower skilled to newer players, then a soap drop is probably the best because it's less frustrating. There's less room for error and things like that. So now I'm thinking, how many colors do I want my snail level to be? So let me first show you the snails in action. I end up using red, yellow, blue a lot for some reason. So I click a color and the direction, and I place it. Let's test it out. So make the blue match and watch the snail. So each turn it's going to move 1 to the left, and then once it hits the end, it's going to turn around and come back. So why is this a good obstacle, you might ask? So the reason it's good is because sometimes it can lead to giant drop matches. So in levels, the goal is replayability. If you want your player to maybe barely lose their first play, and if they do, and the level is well designed enough, they're going to want to try it one more time, and that's the signal that a player's invested in solving your puzzle, and that's a sign of a good level. So we have to focus on creating replayable levels, and one way we do that is by making sure there's swing in our levels. So depending on your skill and also just random luck, sometimes there's going to be matches that if you hit them will save you more moves, and sometimes you maybe won't be able to get those big matches that save you moves. So by having elements like the snail that move, it makes it so like, oh, the snail, let me show you. So maybe I'm right here, and oh, the snail moved here. Oh, but I don't have the right color, and so I can't take advantage of that match. That would make me think, oh, I could have saved a move there potentially. That means next time, I think, even if I lose this time, next time I have a shot, because I see places where it could have swung the other way, or I could have been a little smarter, and now I understand that. So the first playthrough, you gotta be trying to like get players thinking like, oh, I need to play this more time. Like I see places where I could be smart, I see places where I could have gotten lucky. So that's where replayability comes from: chance and skill, and a proper balance between the two. So that's why we really love snails, because that kind of enforces that swing. So let's just make this 2-color level and see how it plays. When we place these colors, I'm trying to make it so that they're somewhat adjacent to the same color. So these reds are on top of each other. These blues, oh, a blue snail could be here, and that could be a good match. A yellow snail could be here, a blue snail could be here. I can't do it all over the place, but it's good to do it as much as I can. Alright, let's just start with this. So the advice I'm always giving is don't make an enormous level. Like, I wouldn't make like a 50 move level just off my head without playing it first. So we have this concept in game development of the minimum viable product, and the idea of the minimum viable product is you want to put forth an example of your product that requires the least amount of work on your part, but completely demonstrates your core idea in order for you to put it to the test, so you can most quickly learn and spot mistakes instead of making the whole thing and realizing that it's designed totally wrong once it's done. And nine times out of 10, when I make a level, and I have this idea in my mind for a level, that level never comes to fruition. That's just the core initial vision, and once I play it, it goes a completely different way because the playtest sessions are that informative to me. They tell me all the time, like, oh, like, I see these flaws. I see the need for a certain kind of a new emoji to add to the mix to make it more interesting, or certain adjustments to the match pattern or the structure or number of colors or whatever it is. Playtest session is extremely useful for that. So I'm just going to put some snails in and we're going to test it out. So that's why I kind of design these things quickly without too much thought, because I can always make adjustments later. Just kind of trying to set them up, and so like, oh, I know the blue will come a couple and then we'll have to turn back and then come back to the blue. The yellow's here, it's going to go to the right, so in a couple moves it's going to be back at yellow. Trying to make sure they're going to be kind of going back and forth in the area where I want them to form a giant match. I don't think I want this yellow snail to be connected right here, because if right off the bat they make this giant match, that doesn't feel like they earned it, really. Maybe I'll put it here. Maybe I'll put the red here. Oops. Maybe I'll fill up this space more. Okay, so I see areas where I can improve that level probably already, but let's just give it a shot. So yellow, or I could do red. So if I was, it's good to playtest your level both as if you were a great player and a poor player. Not financially, but in terms of skill. So a skilled player will swap here and use the red to drop the yellow, because otherwise making this yellow match is just a waste, because this red match would have dropped it anyway. So it's good. I'm going to play now as a skilled gamer, just to see what that experience is like. So a skilled player would probably make both of these at once, so I'm just going to play full skill here. Again, I'll make both these matches at once. That's the third move, and so I'm going to beat this in 4 or 5 moves. So that was, I thought that was, what that tells me is this isn't a top, this is an amazing beginning. I really like the beginning. Like, this as a beginning, because about 5 moves to make these big drops is the perfect size for beginning. It immediately gets you invested in the game, like, a few moves of tension followed by an enormous release, and it perfectly introduces the main concept that I think my level is going to be about, which is having snails and knowing to hit them when they're perfectly between 2 matches in order to save moves. So I love that as an introduction. So that's like my big pull away from that, and so I'm going to have to add some rows to the top. So I did that by going to the editor, to the edit tab, then I hit the plus button next to rows, and I can just add a bunch. Done. Save it. I'm just gonna refresh and check the chat just to make sure everything is okay. Cool. Feel free to. I'm streaming simultaneously on Facebook, Twitter, not Twitter, Twitch and YouTube. Um, Please let me know if you have any questions about the game. Please give me a follow. I'm gonna stream. I'm streaming every day. I'm streaming like around 11 to 1 o'clock right now, but I'm gonna be streaming a lot more often. I'm new to streaming, so give me any advice. I made this game using JavaScript, using the Cocos engine, which I wouldn't recommend since it's not supported anymore, unfortunately for me. Uh, cool. So let's open that level. I'm gonna go to the level browser, and this red arrow will take me to the last page. I have like a few hundred levels. I'm gonna edit. Okay, we skipped a bunch of rows. And again, it's important to listen to music while you stream, while you make levels. All right, so that was a great beginning. So one thing I was thinking of, I was like, it would be cool to go kind of crazy. So the levels I have in the snail world, I have most of the snail levels done, and they're all kind of introductory snail levels. They all kind of introduce you to the mechanic of snails. This level does that the same. But what I was thinking is, oh, it'd be cool if this was like the introduction, and I evolved the level using other emojis in the game. So this one was more basic with just the snails. Then I can do another snail section, but maybe I'm using light bulbs or something like that instead to kind of mix it up and kind of evolve the mechanic throughout the level. So most levels are made using like a standard evolution, a standard pacing, which is like just a single mechanic built up and slowly kind of escalated throughout the level. But there's so many other ways to make levels and really interesting progression kind of system, like interesting like arcs. So I'm gonna take the snail mechanic I've decided, and I'm gonna keep introducing a different additional mechanic in each section, and then at the end maybe I'll put them all together. So that's like a totally out there like pacing for the level, like, and I think it'll give it a lot of character. And that's like, if once you've achieved a certain mastery of designing these levels, what you're looking for is like building levels with a unique character, and you can do that with different ways. You can do that like with like making them of a certain aesthetic, like, oh, maybe like they all like one time I made a level where it was like the numbers 1 through 10, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and I made like an interesting puzzle out of it. So maybe that's a way of giving it visual character. But there's also like other ways of giving character, like it's like in those Mario levels, like most Mario games, like I'm thinking of the SNES Super Mario World. Most of the levels are kind of mostly basic A to B evolutions, but then there's some levels where like the first half is one kind of level, and then you go down something, and then it's like totally switches, and so that kind of it's like a fresh, I don't know, it's a fresh kind of level, and so those levels feel really good in that game for that reason. So I'm gonna try to achieve something similar to that here. Let me know if you have any questions in the chat. I'm always checking now because one time I missed someone and I felt bad. It's a lot more interesting to talk to people when I'm doing this stuff. Okay, so another thing I'm thinking is I like that as a beginning section, and so whatever I add up here, I don't want to like take away from that, kind of like. It would stink if you cleared that, but it also cleared in clearing that beginning. If you like made a bunch of damage to the middle, I kind of want that to be separate. So I was wondering, do I want to like put in like a soap row or something to make it separate? But then players would just pop the soap and keep moving. So I need to. I think I'm just gonna keep going with that pattern, kind of. So make the blues and yellows and reds. Oh, so I have 2 reds a row in a row already here. So I'm gonna go red to the side here. Yellow to the side here. There's no yellow on this left side for a while. And I'll do another blue back to back here. So I'm trying to make sure the colors are somewhat evenly distributed, even though with 3 colors it doesn't matter as much. But I did say I was going to kind of start using bulbs at this point. So what I'm going to do, I think, is every other row I'll do a bulb row. I like this a lot actually. So here for now is gonna be bulbs. So I hope the bulbs are working. So the way the bulbs work is that every turn they'll change to a new color, and you kind of set the colors that they're rotating through. So that kind of, it's not direct movement like the snails, but it is constant change that forces players to constantly reevaluate their strategy in the level. Please work. So maybe when I'm opening a level, it's not working. That's lame. So yeah, these level design streams also serve as great playtest sessions. So I'll definitely fix that. So it's weird that I can do the bows but not the light bulbs. I bet I could fix that. So I'm gonna do a little improv bug fix. See if I can fix that. I think I can actually. I'm using Firebase, Google's Firebase for all of the database kind of stuff. And I think what's happening is when I save the level, it sends up the level data to my database. And it should save some like light bulb data, just like 3 blank ones. But I think for some reason the way I'm storing them is wrong. So I'm going to go to my user levels, which you can't see. I've been thinking a lot about starting to like develop the game on streams, like coding and stuff like that. I think that might be kind of fun, and I can be productive while streaming even more since I'm only streaming a couple hours a day, like maximum. So I'm in the database, I'm looking at the level I saved. Let me just check the chat real fast. Anyone got questions for me? Message me on Facebook or in the chat. Go to playemojipop.com while I'm fixing this game, while I'm fixing this thing, and create a level after you create an account. Save it, send it to me at my Instagram or Twitter at @LDylanWoodbury, or message it to me in one of these chats, or give it to me however you want, and I'll play it live on the stream, and I might even include it in the actual game. I'll show you. I like to feature levels that players create in the game, which is what I do over here. You can pick a level to play while you're waiting for your moves to regenerate in the game or something like that. I also like to feature players' social media. So that's kind of a good way to get exposure for yourself if you're interested in that. Also, if you're interested in streaming Emojipop, let me know. Emojipop is a registered game on Twitch right now, so you can stream it under Emojipop, and I will feature you in the game. And I want to like have a signal so like if players are waiting for moves, they can go to this page and they can see who's live playing the game right now and stuff like that. So I think that could be kind of fun. Alright, so there's no bulb data, so that is the problem. So I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to copy the bulb data from another level. I think that's the fastest way to do it. If I can find one. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna open a bulb level. Here's a bulb level. So this is level number 401. So I'm gonna take the light bulbs from this level. And I'm gonna import them into my level, which as you can see is level 408. So this is how I'm able to do these web links. If you make a level, you can copy this link and share it, or directly to Facebook and Twitter. And each level has an ID, and I include it as an attribute in the link, as a variable in the link. So if you open this link, my game will read, oh, this person has some extra data. It says this link wants to open up level 408 or whatever it is, and so the game will grab that level and give it to you, and then once you finish the level, the game will start as normal. But that's like what allows me to share levels to the entire world. So games like Mario Maker might be more sophisticated in some ways in terms of creative gaming, but what they don't have on me is that if you're making a Mario level and you want the world to play a Mario level, the only people who can play it are people who have a Nintendo Switch. They have the Mario Maker game. They have the Nintendo Online account, and they have to happen to find your level in the in-game browser features, which is really rare for that to happen. Or you can share it on social media, but then that would require them to write down this long arbitrary code and re-enter it into their game to play your level. My game, you in 5 minutes, you log in with Facebook, you make a level in like 5 minutes, save it, hit the share button, and then every person in the entire world who's connected to the internet can play your level with just a touch, without installing anything, without creating an account or downloading anything. It's instant. So your audience is enormous, and so the more features I add, the crazier possibilities you can make. And so my hope is eventually you can make levels that go viral. You can make crazy games like that. There's no way I could have imagined you do the stuff that you do with the tools that I create. Like I want to have like a logic system so you can kind of create your own games, like insane, like you're totally your own games within my game. And I think that'd be awesome to like allow players to like kind of get exposure and showcase their game design expertise and go viral and stuff. I think that'd be awesome. Like I love seeing like creations in other creative games like Minecraft go viral, and I'm really into Dreams. I've been thinking about streaming that game more. I really wish I could spend the time in order to get good at making games and Dreams, but I'm just not there yet. Making sure the chat is good. Let me just, like I said, I'm almost done fixing the level data. Adding bulb data. And I'm going to import it. I just realized I messed up low. One sec. What was that other level with the bulb? 404? It's kind of hard to see with these sunglasses. 401. I accidentally copied the bow data. I want the bulb data. That would have been bad. Okay, so now I'm going to my level. And in the bulb data, I'm importing it. I'm 5 seconds away. It's in. So I fixed the corrupt data in my database for the bulbs, and I know how to fix that now, so I'll do that after the stream. So if I refresh, I should be able to add bulbs to my level finally. So there you go. You got a little development, even though you didn't get to see on the screen. Yeah, so I've been thinking about coding. Let me know if you like are there's a lot of people who watch people who code and develop live, so like figure I might as well give it a shot. Like I'm gonna be doing that anyways. I might as well be streaming while I do it and communicating with the audience, you know. So I'm gonna go to the level browser, open up my level, edit, and hit the light bulb. Boom, the light bulb editor. Hope everyone's doing good. Excited it's Friday, even though every day is the same in quarantine. I'm getting good at checking the chat. I'm promising I'm not gonna let a chatter go by. So yeah, let's go down to here. So first row here is gonna be bulbs. I'm gonna want them to go through all three colors. I could kind of make some of them go through different numbers of colors, so it's all kind of random, but for now I don't need to do that. I'm going for the minimum viable product, like I said. I'm gonna go red, yellow, blue. So to set what color each one should be, you just tap them. So next I'm gonna go yellow, blue, red. And then I'm gonna do one more to complete the cycle, blue, red, yellow. And you can add more cycles by clicking this plus button. So here, 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 and then the row after that, I think I want that to be normal. So this is gonna create some chance. If I use those same bulbs, if I use like 3, 2, 1 bulbs, then they would always be the same color. The pattern wouldn't change, just the colors would change. So I kind of want to make sure everything is changing. That's going to create more swing, if that makes sense. Blue. And let's do another row of bulbs that's in a different order. Save it, refresh. There's one little bug where if you go back to the bulbs, it'll start on like a lower iteration than it actually is. I don't know, it's kind of hard to describe. Probably not worth talking about. Open my level again. I'm really excited to just keep improving this game. Like, there's so many features I have in development. There's just some little bugs I need to squash first. And I want to get the game out there a little bit more first. But if anything ever goes wrong, all you have to do is refresh and it should be good. Red, yellow, oops, blue, and use the eraser. And let's do one more row of solid, and then we can just give it a try. Yellow, blue. I forgot we need to add the snails. I'm also going to add bubble wraps that connect to the top. If you don't connect to the top, the first shot will happen and then everything will just collapse because nothing is hooked to the top. That's kind of like the anchor of the level. This weekend I think I'm going to be doing a lot more. I'm going to record a lot of like level design tutorials. I think I need to get more serious about that. There's like so many different videos I want to make in terms of like vlogging my development process and streaming and promotional videos and also like new things in the game and fixing bugs. There's like so many areas in which I'm going for that's kind of hard to like, I don't know. I'm still exploring trying to figure out my priorities, you know. Like everyone's saying I need to focus on like the art of the game, but to me like that's, I don't know. I'm still not convinced that is that important for me to be working on right now. I can see some quick UI updates, which I've gotten a lot of feedback on. I could see some UI fixes being really less work and more benefit. But I'm just not convinced that working on the animations and art, like I think they want like a full upgrade in terms of like make it look like really flashy and juicy, like a Candy Crush level, like the emoji faces, like really cartoony and stuff. And I don't think that's gonna really change at this point my audience. I think I need to focus more on the gameplay and the systems and getting the game out there. And I don't know, maybe that's wrong though. It's something I'm still questioning, you know. So let's keep doing snails. So because the bulbs are moving, it matters a little less where we put the snails, I would say. So I'm just kind of trying to create some variation. I'm trying not to have the snails like, so these are all going to the left, then I'll have some that are going like into each other, because if every snail's to the left, something could happen where like, oh, there's nothing connecting the whole right side and everything could just fall apart, you know. So just trying to like put snails in different places to make sure everything is structurally intact. Red, yellow. I don't have a blue on the right side here. Let's go blue and red on the left. And yellow, blue. I don't have a red on the right side. Red, yellow, blue. So I could end up hating this. Let's just try it and test it out. Alright. I have a blue. So I like this beginning shot a lot. We have all three options, blue, red, yellow. That's important. We need to always start with like a lot of choice. The worst would be if you start with like 2 blue emojis and There's no blue matches to make from the very first shot. You already feel like you're kind of screwed. That never feels good. So you want to make sure you have choices. So you have all three choices, but there's ones that are obviously better. The red one drops the yellow, so you wouldn't want to use the yellow if you're smart. So that's like an introductory like challenge, like an obvious place where players see they can save moves, so that beginner players, maybe if they hit the yellow, they realize, oh, I could do something different next time, and so that's like a really good like learning moment. There's also the blue though. The blue is a really good match too because it opens up a couple rows just like the red. So depending on whether you get red or blue, like if I maybe this playthrough, if I got red last time, I just thought that was really good. I don't have red for this time, so part of me is thinking, oh, is this gonna be a better or worse playthrough? So I'm constantly like questioning the swing of things, and it's gonna encourage me to replay the level. So I'm gonna go for blue. Ooh, yellow's good now. I love how yellow was weak, and the next move it's strong. But there's also the red up the side, but I'm gonna... So, oh, and then there's the blue that drops all of this. So there's so many different choices. I really like this. I think we need to make a long level, though, because I could see, since it's a 3-color level, see there's going to be a lot of quick climbing. So that took 5 moves. So it did end up clearing a lot of the light bulbs and stuff. So... I'm not sure what I think about this yet. I don't have any feedback directly from that. I think what we need to do is have more of a puzzle. So I think I'm going to do that. I'm going to double the size of this middle. So I'm going to do another like 8 rows of these bulbs and solid emojis. So first, I'm going to erase these. Maybe I'll just go all the way to the top with this pattern. I'll do it semi kind of randomly. So bulbs here. I'll put the structure down first. Blue, red, oops, yellow. I don't want bulbs at the top though, so I'm gonna add a couple more rows. I go to the edit tab. That's where I can change the mode of the gameplay. That's where I can change the number of moves or the number of rows or columns. Cool. So, just gotta erase this. And last one. I think it would be appropriate for it to be a matching top. I could put soaps at the top and just make it a drop level, but it's such a smooth level based on making these big colored matches and stuff with the snails that I think it totally makes sense to have a matching top. Gonna check the chat real fast. We are good. Let me know if you have any questions about the game or anything else. Also go to playemojipop.com, sign in with Facebook or whatever, create a level, save it, and then share it to me in the chat or by messaging it to me on Twitter or tagging me in it or using the hashtag emojipop, and I'll play your level on the stream. And if it's a good level and maybe we can work on it together to make it a good level, then I'll feature it in the game itself if you're interested in that, and I'll promote your social media. If you stream Emojipop, I'll promote you within the game too in the community tab. This is where I feature the levels and the streamers. So I'm really focused on making a community of aspiring game designers and people who love bubble shooters, which I've always loved bubble shooters since I was a kid, and I have a long history with them. So yeah, I'm really excited about this game for that reason. So let's do the light bulbs now. So these are 3. So there was a 2 here. I want to keep them separate as much as I can. It would stink if I had all these 2s on the left side. There might be a time where they all kind of line up together, which would be bad. I'm holding the mouse weird. I keep doing that. One more place up here. Yellow. So there's one here. I'm gonna go here. No, I'm gonna go here. Because otherwise, this blue and blue and blue could all kind of line up. That would be bad. Oh wait, that was the wrong one. I'm glad I saw that. I picked the red yellow. I wanted the red yellow blue. This one. 3 here. Gotta go here. Here. Last one. Blues here. So now we've got like the core structure minus the snails. We just gotta put the snails in. I was thinking like, after the playtest, I could decide this, but I was thinking like it'd be cool to add a third element. Like this could be like I'm making snail levels go into the world that I'm releasing next week, and it'd be cool if like to have one last level where it's like, oh, the beginning is basic snails, the middle is, oh, snails with light bulbs, and then the end could be, oh, snails with light bulbs, and now there's dice included that make it extra tricky or something. I think that could be a cool evolution, but I'm gonna go off of what the game plays like once I finish this. They've been doing a good job placing the snails in cool places, or maybe just anywhere is good for the snails, because I'm not thinking about it too long, and they seem to be like forming good opportunities for me and stuff. So I'm kind of creating them so that they hit each other and then go back. I don't want them all going to one side or the other, like I mentioned before. I'm trying to make them kind of distributed, so I noticed 2 yellows in the middle, so I wanted to put yellows in the sides and put red and blue in the middle instead here. Color balance is key. But once in a while, I think it's cool to have like a different kind of row. Blue, red, yellow. Yeah, so like I might see in gameplay, oh, there's a row where there's a lot of snails. That added some difficulty and some strategy. And then I might go back to this level and be like, oh, add that in more places towards the top or something like that. So that's why I'm not thinking about anything too much. You'll see in the play testing, like add some variety in places where you can, like try things one way here, another way here, like I'm doing, like I'm designing the snail rows to be different each time. And so when I play it, I'm gonna like learn a lot more, like see right away which snail rows are working and which ones aren't. Maybe having too many in a row makes it too easy to play or something. That could be another conclusion we come to. Yellow. Let's have 2 yellows here, and then red, blue. Blue, red. We're almost at the top now. Yellow, yellow. Alright, last one. Yellow, red, blue. Save. Let's test it out. Before we do that, just gonna make sure no one's chatting. We're good. I'm gonna check Facebook real fast. I have a notification, but I don't think it's a chat. Do. So we just got a comment. Maybe I could pull it up. And then we can go back to playing. So I like to respond to feedback too, on these streams. Cool. Oops. So this is the page for Emoji Pop. Feel free to like it. Emoji Pop, play, design, and share levels. So Carlos Giovanni just commented. So this is a piece of feedback that I get a lot, and I wanted to spell it. I think you would have had a better reception if you had waited a bit for the game to be more polished. Also, let me make sure you can see this. Yes, you can. Oops. Also, you might have been better to not attack any companies. That adds quite a bit of negativity and arrogance to your statements, even if it wasn't intended. You could have simply said you were disappointed in how some games are handled, managed, without trying to portray something as evil. Usually that makes you want to portray yourself as good or a hero in some sense, which is very arrogant and completely unnecessary when trying to make something that's supposed to be fun for everyone. So let me tell you what to do as a game designer. Thanks for that feedback. Because this person has no idea what I'm doing, so why get into an argument about it? So what can we take from this feedback? And so I made a video where everyone else is calling them evil. Everyone else is, I released a video recently. Everyone calls games like Candy Crush evil, and manipulative and addictive. They go on, and I'm always defending games like that. I think that they are manipulative, but I think the video games are inherently manipulative in some sense if you're going to attack them for that. I think it's hypocritical to be like saying Candy Crush is addictive, but like, I mean, there's lots of things that are actually addictive that we don't denounce. I think what really makes games like Candy Crush evil is that there's a chance that they're doing things behind the scenes that are essentially lying to us in terms of how random things actually are, and if they mess with the game while you're playing it, kind of like your odds of success. So everyone else is saying it's evil. I'm just saying if they're evil, then maybe we should start making games that compete with them, because the same people who say that they're evil, games like Candy Crush are evil, they also say no one should make games that compete with them, and they rip any indies, which I get all the time, for making games that are even anything like them. And by doing so, as a gaming community, we've made it so we've basically given them a monopoly over casual mobile gamers. And so my whole thing, attacking Candy Crush is obviously a joke. If you have half a mind, you realize I'm not actually going one-on-one against a $7 billion per year game, you know. I don't take myself seriously. I like to have fun, and I'm trying to be popular. I'm not trying to like be an academic. I'm not trying to I'm not trying to have a certain persona other than what I actually am, you know. So I don't really care about feedback like that, you know. People always attack me for like the thumbnails of my YouTube videos, though. They won't even watch the video, but they'll just attack me because I'm obviously making games and videos that are trying to be popular, and as if that's like and I think that's a compliment, because I guess they don't want to make games that are popular, and I do. I don't know. I don't see any problem with that. Yeah. So let's move on. Let's go back and play that level. So yeah, hit me up if you have anything to talk about. Hit me up, and I'll read your messages. I'll play your level. I want this to be like a flexible thing. I want to talk about game design, and I don't want to just make levels. I want to talk about what's going on in the industry and my weird perspective on things. So let's test it. I'm going to go with the red this time since I did the blue last time. So I'm going to play as a skilled player. So because I use 3 colors, there's so many places for these adjacent matches where I can make 2 with 1. So I think this is a great level for reinforcing that mechanic a lot. I also love, like, it seems like the way the snails move, like I mentioned this before, like, oh, yellow seems weak this turn, and then the next turn yellow's the strong match and the others are weak. So I think the way the snails are and the way the matches change, I think that's really creating that effect. So I really like that. I wish I had a red. I noticed that I could probably say moves if I had a red, so that tells me, oh, maybe I can replay this level and do better next time. Snails are interesting because you can also see where they're going next if you kind of understand how they work. So you can kind of think in advance. So the light bulbs, you sometimes don't know what color they're going to turn to next, but the snails, you know they're going to the left direction, or they're going to hit each other and turn right. So you can say, oh, I'm going to save my red because the red snail's going to the left, and when it goes to the left, it's going to make this big match. So that's another kind of cool aspect of snails and their gameplay. So I'm definitely going to hit these reds. And so that's 5 moves to get through the beginning. That felt really good. That was a good introduction, and now we got all these bulbs to deal with. I just realized I probably should have added moves. Blue is a huge match right now. That's really cool. That's a good clear. Red. So I'm about to run out of moves. But yeah, I like how this is playing. I'm getting a lot of good drops. And so that feels like a good middle. It's going to take like 10 moves to get through. So I'm gonna go to edit, go to the edit tab, and we're gonna add 10 more moves. Save. Let's play it one more time. Maybe I won't play it as a total skill player this time. Like, I'll try to make some good moves occasionally. Like, oh, I see a lot of reds here. I'll do that. See a big yellow. So I don't know. I don't know. Reds, blue. So if anything now, for feedback for myself, I'm thinking there's so many good drops. I like how it changes in the middle. You know, it feels like a different kind of challenge. Right here is where it stops to feeling like everything is a giant match. My criticism was if everything feels like a big drop, then the drops don't feel as good. You want to kind of work towards those clear points. Blue. So this is a high skill shot. Getting that yellow, I don't think players would be able to do that really. Let me go blue up here. Then I can make this yellow match. And then 2 more left. So I'm thinking at around this point, the level needs to evolve one more time, and that will kind of take us through to the end. With the size of the level, you would think that that would be enough for a level, but because you go through so quickly in the beginning, in the middle, with these big drops, that we kind of need some more stuff. I feel like around here is where things kind of slowed. I was wondering if the number of snails made me slow down, but if that was the case, I would probably add some more snails to this top area, but I don't know for sure that that's the case. I did notice at this top, it kind of fell apart because there weren't enough snails, so I'm going to add more at the top for sure. I want it facing the other direction. Cool. So let's add some more rows. Go and add rows. So how many rows do I want? Maybe like, maybe like 8 or so. Done. Let me make sure no one is chatting. We are good. Yeah, just making sure no one's chatting on Facebook. We're good there too. I'm gonna be streaming tomorrow, just so you know, as well, for Screenshot Saturday. That's the only time I don't get banned from certain game developer groups on Facebook for sharing the stream, so I can actually get some streamers on Facebook and stuff. Yeah, so now what do I want to do? I would add dice, but it would feel so sudden, and players might not know how to use them. Usually, like, a good piece of advice is any like emoji mechanic you're going to use in a level, it's good to show at the beginning, because if you just kind of throw it in at the end, players might not understand how it works, or they're not looking for it because they weren't trained to in the beginning. But I didn't show the bulbs at the beginning either, so maybe players are kind of set up to be able to expect additional surprises or whatever. I could use eggs. So the way that eggs work is when you hit them, they kind of hatch a random colored chick. What do I want to do? It has to be kind of one of the earlier ones. It has to be color based, I'd say. I just don't have too many color based ones at the beginning. Let's see. According to the world map. So world 8 is where the level's going to go. I could use dice, I could use bulbs. So those are the only 2 color emojis I have next. Next is the siren emoji, which changes colors constantly. That would be an amazing emoji for this level. Because it's like the bulb, but like amped up on steroids. So I think that would be really a good progression. But I have to avoid that because it doesn't get introduced till the next world. I'll probably release this next week too, the siren emoji. I just love it so much. There's some really good new content coming. So let's, I guess, go with the dice. I'm also thinking, like, I could make them green dice so they can't be matched with, but you have to roll them. Let's just try it. Screw it. So this would be the introduction to dice for the end, if it works. Green die. I just had an idea. I'll just make sure it's connected to the top. Red, yellow, blue. So I was thinking, what if I... So you have to hit the green dice to roll. I'll tell you how dice work in a second. Oops. So the way dice work is, if you hit a die, it'll roll into a random color, and if that color exists around it, it'll form like a chain reaction match. So if I make this all... Oops. It's on eraser. So if I make this whole row one color, you normally wouldn't want to do that because you'd be kind of trapped. Because you can just keep hitting the dice to roll random colors, I think that could be a cool mechanic. Could be totally wrong about that, but we will see. And then after that, maybe I'll just add some like normal. Oops. Just gonna erase these. Yellow, blue. And then here, oops. Maybe I want snails at this top. So I'm kind of eliminating, oops. Kind of eliminating snails. Maybe I want one more snail row in the middle here. Let me fill in these green dice first. Oh no, I think this is good. Maybe just have some snails here. I have no idea how this is gonna play. This is interesting. Last thing to do is just add some here. Save. After I add 5 more moves in case. Save. So this is an interesting level. This evolution is something I haven't done in a while. Let's see how it plays. Red is more optimal than yellow. I'll make the yellow match. Make this double blue. Oh, I didn't get the red I wanted, but this yellow match is pretty bulky still. Now we can hit the reds. Clear a bunch of stuff. Blue match. Yellow match. Red match at the middle. So I'm not making as huge of clears, just I think due to luck. But I still feel constant progress, feels really good. Feels smooth. This is a good drop. It's red. So I'm getting close to where the dice are. So at this point you see the green dice and you're like, what the heck? So I could see players not knowing what to do at first, and maybe they waste a couple moves here, but then the next playthrough they're going to know how these green dice work. So I needed them to turn red. One turn red, so I cleared that. I need these to turn the colors they are above them, so they both did that. So now I need these to turn the colors of the snails. So this is where it gets a little trickier, I think. Oh, I got really lucky. I'm going to need to play this again to make sure. So I won with 5 moves left. Let's test it one more time. Let's say I'm not as good. I'm going to make a bad yellow match, blue match, red match, red match. Another way I try to mimic a bad player is I just make lower matches, and I just try to make decisions more quickly, and that kind of sets me in the same mindset basically as a... Oh wow, this is a huge problem. The fact on this row there's nothing on the left hand side, I could have dropped all that in one move. That would have been a huge gain. I don't want any move to like save you too many moves, because otherwise that becomes like the necessary strategy to win. So I'm gonna figure out where that was and try to add snails on the left-hand side as well. This yellow drop in the middle is amazing. It's the only thing yellow in that area. Red. So I have 9 moves left. So I made some mistakes kind of on purpose, so that's okay. Hopefully they'll know to go for these green dice. Let's see if I can save this win. Ooh, didn't get as lucky there. So that's why I wanted to play it again. So I still have a chance of winning. Maybe not. Probably not, actually. Nope. So I lost the few moves left to have to make. So that's cool. So let's play it one more time, and I'm going to play it with a little more... Oh, I wanted to see. Let's see if we can find that row where there's nothing on the left-hand side. I honestly don't know where that would have been. Let's play it again, and maybe we'll pay better attention to what row that is. Alright, I'm playing as a better player this time. Red. Clear these yellows. Clear both the blues in one shot. Now we got the red drop. So that's a great beginning. And now we're kind of introduced to the middle of the level. And we know that because things are different with the bulbs. This red match will make a drop. So right here is where they all are. So there's a spot where it goes red faces, blue faces, yellow faces. I'm just gotta remember that. So it's kind of in this area. Red, blue, yellow. I'll probably forget. Red, blue, yellow. Oh, so I like that I'm hitting a spot where there's not a great match to make. It feels good to have that happen sometimes to make sure players know, oh, the level plays different each time, so you should keep playing it next time you make it luckier. I think the bulbs are doing a really good job of making that level play different each time, depending on the colors you get. So if I had a yellow there, I would have dropped a lot of stuff right there, but I didn't. So I'm really liking the swing of this level. That dropped kind of fast, but that's okay. I got lucky with that. Getting lucky with the dice. So I have a lot more moves left than I did last time. So this level has a lot of swing to it. Last move. Someone with like 6 moves left. Okay, red. What did I say? Red, blue, yellow? Yeah. So the thing was in this area. I'm going to add a red snail. Hopefully this doesn't make more match opportunities. Oh, it probably will. I'm not going to allow that. Maybe I'll add a blue snail that goes that direction, so they kind of have to get stuck here. Same here. Let's see if that changes kind of at all, like the gameplay. Red. Yellow. Keep making the same moves each time. Blue. Red. Oh, didn't get it. Yellow. So the first 5 moves are at the beginning. Now we're kind of in the middle. Blue. Check the chat real fast. Let me know if you have any questions about the game or its development. Oh my. I'm hoping my stream didn't just go down. If not, I was about to end anyway, so that's okay. I think I'm okay. Yeah, I'm good. Alright. Am I good? All the streams are paused in the same spot, but I think it's just because my Bluetooth shorted out. So I'm just going to keep playing as if everything's going normal. Yeah, it looks like we're good. Yellow. So there's not... Oh, I could make the blue shot. That's a way better shot. That feels good. So these 2 that I added didn't really end up doing much. Let's just leave them there for now, just in case. Yellow will drop. I can squeeze the blue in here. This red is a good snail match. So since I know the dice, how the dice work, I could just go for them right away. I got lucky. Wow, a lot of moves left over. So there's a lot of swing at the top too in this whole new way with the dice. I don't know if I'd recommend it or not, but I don't know. It's kind of a cool experience. So again, I won with like 7 moves left over. So I'm gonna remove 5 moves. So I think most players, like the first time, will lose by a move or two, and so I don't know. I think that's kind of around where I'm trying to tune the level to. So I want to encourage players their first play to try again. So that's kind of like the fun challenge of like playing the level once, twice, maybe a third time, and then finally achieving it. That's what I think is the best feeling when playing these bubble shooter levels, I should say. So yeah, I think that feels good. I'm going to share it. Copy the link. And I'm gonna go to my page, Emoji Pop. Oops. And I'm going to comment it in the chat. Here's the level we made, and I'm gonna paste the link, so you can try that link in the follow me on Facebook. It's called Emoji Pop Play Design and Share Levels. It's the yellow smiley face if you search Emoji Pop, but there's a couple emoji pops, so just make sure it's the Twitter emoji yellow smiley face, and you can play the level by clicking the link. I'm also going to share it to Twitter. When I tweet, you can follow me at L. Dylan Woodbury, which you can see on the screen. Actually, now you can see it on the screen. So if you go to my Instagram or Twitter, you can actually on my Twitter is where I'll post the link. So I always say when my stream is live, and then I'll comment the levels we made. Here's the level we made. Paste the link, send. So yeah, just to conclude, play my new game at playemojipop.com. It's still obviously in development. But it's in live development. You know, that's the way I make games. I want to put it out there before it's ready. Even though some say I shouldn't put it out there until it's like a super polished game, but the whole idea of the game is getting people engaged in game development and game design and getting them invested in the community and towards the future development of the game. So I wanted it out there as soon as possible to get your feedback, and not only do you make suggestions and feedback for the game, but you can also make levels that literally contribute to the game. So you can make your own levels at playemojipop.com if you create an account, and you just have to log in through Facebook or Twitter or whatever, and then you can create levels, save them, and then share them with a web link for the whole world to play. And I would love to give you feedback and communicate with you on your levels and kind of learn from your design approach and stuff like that. I've spent years supervising bubble shooter designers, and so I'm really good at giving feedback, like supportive feedback. So yeah, play the level. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram. You can check me out at I'm streaming on Twitch under Emoji Popcast, one word, Emoji Popcast. Instead of podcast, it's Popcast. I'm also streaming on YouTube and Facebook. I think on YouTube I'm known as Dylan Games. But if you go to Emoji Pop, you can find the link to all my social media and stuff by hitting the settings button at the top left. Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, Twitch, Discord. So join the community. It's really small now, the game and the community and everything, but I'm so confident in my trajectory and my plan. I know we're going to create something that's really amazing together. So thank you so much for watching the stream. And I'll be streaming tomorrow at around 11 o'clock as well.